All right, let's talk about the syllabus here, the most interesting piece of documentation ever. This is the syllabus for the non-majors biology class. It's available to you in your Blackboard under syllabus and policy. So make sure you read this and check it out because I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's too interesting to rob that experience from you. So read purpose of the course outlines, premise. Take a look at the outline as far as content goes. Is that subject to change at any time? We'll tell you in advance if it does, because it'll change depending on supplies, what we have, where you are in your lecture period, things like that. So as far as resources goes, you won't need anything besides your text that you have for your class, and then everything else will be provided, okay? So let's talk about the important things that you want to know. Okay. This is going to be section 6, the requirements and evaluation. So make sure you are following your lab safety procedures. Highly important. So make sure you watch that in the video, you completed your quiz, you filled that out and everything, and we'll sign something in person. All right, let's talk about where the grades come from. So the biggest chunk of your grade is going to be from your lab report. That's 30%. And there's a whole separate video on how to write reports. There's a document that outlines how to write it if you're more comfortable with documents. Make sure you are completing those lab reports every week, getting them in on time. That's going to be the biggest chunk of your grade. If you want an A in lab, get an A in lab reports. You're going to have pre-lab assignments as well. Now these are just little assignments before the lab. So a week before you do a new lab, you'll have 3 to 5 questions. Complete them online, turn them in through Blackboard, and that's just to get your mind in the zone for doing whatever you're going to be doing in lab. So make sure you're getting those in on time. If an assignment is late, guys, it loses 20% of its value. So please don't do that. That really adds up. Make sure you're getting your stuff in online. These assignments don't take a ton of time, especially when you start to get the hang of them. Put the time that's required into them, but it's not going to be a ton. Please don't procrastinate because inevitably something will come up with reports or something's not working. Don't email, if you have lab on Monday, don't email me on Sunday night or something like that and say you need help. It's really going to be hard for me to help you if you've waited to the last minute. So get everything on time, complete it, get a good grade. That's going to be easy. Okay, you got participation is another chunk, and then a lab final exam. Your final is it's still really up in the air, but as far as we know right now, you'll just have stations in lab. You'll go around, answer some questions, or do some procedures. It'll be based on everything you've already done, and if you pay attention to lab, you do your good lab reports, you do your pre-labs, you'll be very well prepared for that. It's not going to be a problem. Okay, attendance. So let's talk about attendance because it is going to be a little bit different. You're going to be split into 2 groups in your lab. So eventually you're going to get an email. It's going to tell you whether or not you're in group A or B. So each group is going to alternate being in person in the lab while the other group is doing a lab online. So just for example, usually the first week we do scientific method or something like that. So if you're group A, you're going to come in person to the lab, do the scientific method. If you're group B, you're going to do a scientific method online lab, and you'll do that at home. And then the next week we'll switch, and so on and so forth. So if at any point, this is really important to note, if you have symptoms of any kind, just stay home. Go to the doctor. It's much easier for us if you can show you've been to the doctor or you've been to the school nurse. Do that. Don't come and spread your germs around everywhere. But if you do that, either way, you're still going to have to complete the online lab, unfortunately. So you can't just show symptoms and get out of it. But if it was your turn to come into campus, come into lab as far as your group, then you're just going to have to complete a lab online, and that'll just be a virtual lab. You'll do the same thing that the virtual lab group was doing, okay? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. If that doesn't make any sense, feel free to send an email. But it's also in your syllabus. Just make sure you understand who's coming in when, who's coming in what week, and make sure you know what group you're in. That email will come out to you at some point in time. All right, and then I think that's everything that is important. At the very bottom, you've got your grading scale. You've got the basic schedule for how we think things are going to go as far as we know right now. And obviously, it's a little different because we're going to have an abbreviated semester for the first time. So we'll let you know as soon as we know for each lab experiment what's going on. You'll have your lab paper sent to you ahead of time that you'll print out and bring to lab, but whenever you turn anything in, make sure nothing is a paper copy. I don't want to Don't want to touch any of your Jeremy paper copies. Everything's turned in through Blackboard. And make sure you don't include your name on any of those assignments so I can conceal the name and protect everyone's integrity. And I think that's everything you need to know. If you have any questions, if anything's still unclear, reference the syllabus or send me an email.